What is with Colombia's serial killers? 3 of the top 20 most prolific serial killers in the world are all Colombian. This one got all the way to 28 years old before he even began getting into trouble with the law. He was a good student, but he had to drop out of school to help his family, his father and his stepmother. The stepmother was pretty abusive to Daniel Camargo. She dressed him up as a girl, which humiliated him, and forced him to go to school dressed that way, where his classmates would make fun of him. His childhood, though, certainly wasn't as horrifically abusive as those of Garavito and Lopez. He had a common law relationship with one woman who he had 2 children with. Then he fell in love with a second woman, Esperanza. He planned to marry her, but she wasn't a virgin. Well, that was just the end of the world, sarcasm intended. Camargo became obsessed with the fact that she wasn't a virgin. But he agreed to stay with her as long as she helped him find enough virgin girls to rape. And she agreed to that. Esperanza would lure young girls to an apartment using some pretense or other. Once there, she would drug the girls with Seconal, which is a sleeping medication. Camargo then raped the girls. The first 5 would survive, but that 5th girl reported what happened. Camargo and Esperanza were arrested and taken to prison. He was originally sentenced to 3 years in prison, but that was increased to 8. And it was the increase that enraged Camargo. One day, when he was passing by his school, he kidnapped a 9-year-old girl. He raped her, and this time he killed her so that she wasn't going to report him to the police. He was arrested anyway because he returned to the scene of the crime to pick up items he'd left behind from his job. He was suspected of 80 other rapes and murders in Colombia, but was convicted of only this one. He was sentenced to 25 years and sent to prison on Gorgona Island in 1977. But he escaped the prison in 1984 in a simple, kind of primitive boat. Authorities assumed, well, he died at sea. Well, he didn't, though. He went to Quito instead. He went to Guayaquil and began kidnapping, raping, and murdering girls there, at least 54 of them. The Ecuadorian police, though, thought all the missing and murdered girls were the work of some sort of gang. Camargo would even sell some of the clothing or trinkets that belonged to the victims to support himself. In Ecuador, he was luring the girls by telling them he had a special errand to find a pastor, and he would give them money. He would offer to pay them if they showed him the way to this church he was looking for. He left their bodies in the forest on the way out of town. He was caught when he emerged from the woods one day in 1986, having just killed a 9-year-old girl. He was acting strangely, and when they stopped him, he had her bloody clothes and, well, body part in a bag that he was carrying. Once he was identified, he confessed to killing 72 girls in Ecuador. He led the police to his dump site in the forest. Along with being raped and killed, the girls had also been mutilated, an escalation over the previous girls in Colombia. His explanation for all of this? Well, he said he wanted virgins because they cried, and to take revenge on the unfaithfulness of women. He hated them for not being how he wanted them to be, and so little girls had to die for it, had to die for his ego and his beliefs, because, he should be able to control all of that. He was convicted and sentenced to 16 years in 1989. 16 years was the longest sentence available in Ecuador at the time, who never before had dealt with a serial killer. For a period of time, he was in the same prison as Pedro Lopez from our last serial killer video. Unfortunately for Camargo, he was also in prison with Giovanni Noguera. Noguera was the nephew of one of Camargo's victims, and Noguera would stab him to death on November 13, 1994. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying these videos and want more, don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any videos. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it.